Hello everybody, I'm Joshua Brent and welcome to Living Hope Assembly of God's online service. Because of the continuing medical crisis, we're going to be posting everything online, so please stay tuned as Pastor Brent Graves shares his message out of 2 Samuel 22.
Good morning, Living Hope family. I hope that you are having a good day. And I know we're all probably going a little stir crazy now, and so hopefully this video will help mitigate some of that. And we really encourage you to check out our Facebook, and we've got a website going live probably in the next 24 to 48 hours, which is something we've already been working on. And so make sure that you check those sources out. You should have received a phone call from us if you are a regular attender. And so we would just encourage you to please be engaging in those ways. We're going to have some other things coming that are really exciting, so be aware and be checking those sources often and making sure that we're just staying connected during this time where we can't be here physically, but we can definitely still be together in other ways. This morning, we're going to be in 1 Samuel chapter 22, verses 1 and 2. So if you would, let's read that together. David departed from there and escaped to the cave of Adullam. And when his brothers and all of his father's house heard it, they went down there to him. And everyone who was in distress, and everyone who was in debt, and everyone who was bitter in soul gathered to him. And he became commander over them. And there were with him about 400 men. It's kind of interesting to me that David, in this passage, was in distress. He was in crisis. Saul was after him. He was trying to kill him. And he immediately goes to this no man's land called the Cave of Adullam. And this no man's land was just a place between Israel and the Philistines that really neither one seemed to own. And people started flocking to him, started coming to him. And what I find fascinating about this is that David was a man who, even though he was in crisis, even though the people that were with him were in crisis, people looked to him for encouragement. And people looked to him as their commander. And what I find fascinating about this is here we are in an emergency situation in our country. And as Christians, are we people who bring encouragement? Are we people who bring the kind of joy, even in the midst of our troubles, to those around us? And this concept, this idea has been kind of in my head all week. And these were people who were bitter in soul. These were people who were in debt. These were people who were in distress. And yet they turned to a man of God to bring them encouragement, to be their commander. I don't know about you, but as a Christian, I want to endeavor to be the kind of person that when there is struggle, when there is pain, when there is some kind of crisis, that people would turn to me not because of who I am, but because of the joy that I represent, but because of the encouragement I represent. That's who I endeavor to be. I'm not perfect, and I'm still working on that. But it kind of reminded me of a situation that I had in high school. I was I worked at a grocery store, and it was kind of one of those, just a normal day. I was mopping a floor. I was a bag boy, bagging groceries. And all of a sudden, this lady comes up to me and says, "Hey, there's a lady. She's fallen down. She's hurt. You need to come quick." And so I rush over there. And a lady had a medical emergency. She had fallen and hit her head and had split her head open. And it was a lot of blood and not very much fun. And so immediately I called my manager, and we called an ambulance. And I remember my manager, though, and how calm he was and how encouraging he was, even to the lady who didn't quite know what was going on, and to me, who was trying to get some medical supplies and some basic first aid to this lady. And I think that for me, that was a super encouraging time. That was one of those moments where even though there was this crisis going on, even though there was this struggle going on, it was comforting to have a person like my manager. His name was John. Like John, who was bringing calm and comfort and encouragement and joy. I don't know what's going to happen over the next few months, but I think as Christians, as Christ followers, we can bring that encouragement and joy to each and every person that we do have contact with, even if that is just over the phone, or over Facebook, or at work, because that's the only contact we get to have with people. So let's try to make that who we are during this crisis. I think Psalms 91 says it best when it's not that we're relying on our own strength, it's that we are relying on God's. And Psalms 91 says it this way. I actually read it last week, part of it last week in my sermon, but this week I wanted to zero in on a different part of it. And it says in verses 5 and 6 in Psalms 91, "You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence," we're dealing with a lot of pestilence right now, "that stalks in the darkness, nor in the destruction that wastes at noonday." So I want to leave you with this. Guys, let's encourage one another through this season. Let's encourage one another through this time. We don't know how long it's going to last. It could be a couple of weeks. It could be a couple of months. But however long it lasts, let's make sure that we're representing Christ through it. I love you guys. I wish I could put my arms around each and every one of you and just give you a big hug. Well, I can't do that right now. But what I can do is I love you. Is to say I love you, I care for you, and we can't wait to be back together. God bless, and have a wonderful Sunday.
Thank you guys so much for tuning into this week's edition of Living Hope Online. I hope you guys enjoyed that sermon today by Pastor Brent Graves. Please keep an eye on the Living Hope Facebook page. We're going to be adding new content. And comment, guys, and we hope to see you next time. Thank you.